Unfortunately, Jack's method of tension relief nearly gave Chastity both whiplash and a concussion. Blessedly, her swift reaction saved her from injury, but she very nearly caused Jack to sprain his ankle as she replied to his overly zealous and fierce kiss in kind. Her hands sailed over his upper body as his hands did the same over hers. They pushed and pulled at each other, twirled in some obscenely disjointed dance through the hall, making out on the run with almost all of the appropriate noises. Instinct was in full force for both of them, and there wasn't any inclination on the part of either teen to apply the brakes. Chastity broke away from him, and with a foxy gleam in her eye she ran off to the stairwell, Jack in hot pursuit. She quickly ascended the steps and darted out into the third-floor hallway, Jack mere steps behind, and almost as quickly vanished into the toy room where Jack caught her, turned her into his arms and restarted their frantic, drawn-out, in terms of distance, making out, altered only by Chastity backing up towards the pile of stuffed animals, where she lowered herself to the floor, drawing Jack down with her. Jack descended willingly, but rather than remaining on his knees he pushed forward, against Chastity, and she in turn reclined until she was lying on the carpet. Quickly and roughly, he unsnapped her onacy and began to kiss the skin of her stomach, the smell of baby powder and lotion filling his nostrils as her fingers laced through his hair. He went down along her middle, brushed back the elastic waistband of her diaper to kiss her navel, which elicited a noise of pleasure from Chastity that only spurred Jack onward. Which is where the instinctive passion and all that it entailed and might have led to was obliterated by an obscenely loud and rather unpleasant noise. It wasn't something like a wailing siren, a fire alarm, a smoke detector, or some other alert device, nor was it the voice of any other human being in the building. No, it was the noise that both Jack and Chastity had heard so very many times during the past week, but it was so distinctly out of place in this situation that it was as if a fire had been snuffed out before it could reach its peak. Chastity, lying down and looking up at Jack, her arms having fallen to her sides, was blushing so fiercely it seemed as though someone had poured red paint on her cheeks and had a look like a deer in headlights on her face. Jack, kneeling between Chastity's legs and looking down at her, had a similar expression on his own visage, and they seemed to be more or less frozen in place. Chastity's onacy was open and pushed out of the way to reveal both the smooth skin of her midriff and her diaper, which had been so recently torn open by Jack with an earth-shattering gusto. That same earth-shattering gusto had made that horrible noise that had been more than enough power to clap a stopper over their capers. Who could have known that ripping open a diaper could be such a drag? The awkward moment passed and that horrendously loud noise faded with it. Time snapped back into the forward position and the two teens looked at each other, now supremely embarrassed about their positions. Jack's mouth worked up and down a few times as he tried to form and then speak words, but no sound came. Chastity just stared at him, unable to think enough to speak, only able to realize what she had come so close to doing as Jack arrived at a similar train of thought. Finally, though, the spell was broken and Jack shifted back, out from between her legs. The action seemed to release Chastity from her stupor, for she lifted her head from the floor and looked at Jack. "What, you're just going to leave me like this?" she asked, murmuring.